Today's episode of TNC Movie Nights is presented by Podgo. Podgo is the easiest way to monetize your podcast. They help by giving podcasters just like us a flat rate for ad space, so you always know what you're going to get when you have an ad presented by Podgo. You can apply today and be immediately connected to advertisers that will fit your audience. Just go to podgo.co, that's Podgo.co, and when you go there, there's a little box that says, "How did you hear about Podgo?" Make sure you let them know the movie night sent you. Just go ahead, man.
This is TNC Movie Nights, and boy, am I excited. I'm excited to talk about Wonder Woman 1984, as you can see in the title, Wonder Woman 84. Alex just finished watching it. I've watched it on Saturday night, I want to say. And I might have a new least favorite movie.
It was so bad.
It was genuinely really bad in a lot of different ways. We'll try to kind of break it through the whole movie. Of course, this is a full spoiler review. We both saw it. We're going to be talking about spoiler moments. So if you haven't seen it, go watch it. Maybe you'll like it. And if so, let us know. Tell us why we're crazy. Tweet at us. Message us on Facebook. Whatever you want to do, let us know. Or just in the comments of the video here. Something I thought the way the movie started with the whole... I had so many questions. She is like 7 years old, going against 30-year-old Amazonians in this giant race triathlon sort of thing.
The Triwizard Games.
Yeah.
Because there wasn't an original moment in this entire freaking movie.
Exactly. And I didn't understand it because we already got an origin movie. Last one was Origin. We got a little itty bit of Origin in Justice League or Batman vs. Superman. One of them got a little bit. We didn't need more introduction to the character. So I really didn't understand that outside of the last little bit of the movie, just so they could be like, remember the 20 minutes we wasted in the beginning? Truth and courage and honor and all this because of she's an Amazonian. Didn't make sense. The CGI was bad. Everything to it was just goofy. You mentioned the saturation was way too high. I agree.
Looked like a PS2 game, man.
Yeah, a lot of the stuff in that I thought was very poor, and it just didn't make sense. None of it really mattered to the movie at all. And then something that really bugged me was a line that Wonder Woman said. And she lost. She got pulled out of the race because she cheated in a way. And she was so disappointed. It's like, when is it ever going to be my turn? I'm like, you're like 7 years old. They're 30. This is probably your first attempt at doing this. Why are you so upset that it's going to take more than one try? These people are like 30 and probably been doing it for 20 years everyone does it at this age of 7. So I didn't get that, and I really didn't care for that. So, Alex, to kind of stay with that portion of the movie, the beginning, go ahead.
It just sucked, man. You start out like the very first shot. Looks like someone took a Crayola marker and just like went bottom half green, top half blue. We're making movies that are colorful. And I'm just like, oh, all right. You know what? All right. Trying to like up the magic factor, I guess. I don't know. I've seen better editing from an iPhone on a live photo. But, and then she's like, just kicking ass at this game. To be like beaten by a tree because she went, huh? And then was
Thank
like, oh,
you.
tree. Like, how are you going to rip off Harry Potter, George of the Jungle?
I was going to say Dudley Do-Right.
Like, I'm serious, man. There wasn't an original moment in this entire freaking movie, and it just got worse and worse. And if that was the low point, then whatever. If it went up from there, it's fine. But like every minute just kept topping itself in either stupidity, unoriginality, or just like blatant outright disregard for any sense of continuity. They just didn't care. And it sucks. It's just another DC movie that just needs to die in a fire. But that's just the beginning.
Yeah.
So,
kind of an overarching point that I didn't love in the movie, and this is, I don't know. This I'm going to try to keep this one short, but this is kind of the whole female character, like, good characters, which is awesome. I'm glad we're getting more characters like Black Widow, Wonder Woman. We might get to see something with Black Panther kind of shift over to Shuri. Super cool. Love it. But why in all the movies is it always like men are just dumb idiots or creepy molester rapists? And I just don't get it. Also, it's all in the mall scene, and it really bugged me. You have these like burglars who every single thing that they do, all it does is physically harm women. They're running out. They knock over the bride off the bridge. She gets saved. Terrible CGI there, by the way. And then
she ruined her dress. Yeah. Damn it, save the dress too.
And then there's another little girl who was dangling off the side because the guy was going to drop her off again. Man hurting girl. And then another one was another, like the girl at the end of the whole mall sequence, and again, she was getting hurt and almost shot. And it was this constant, they did it in the first movie too, the only people Wonder Woman was like saving is just like girls from harmful men. And I really don't like that. Just on the fact, I don't know, to me it takes me out of the movie, because you'll never see a Spider-Man movie that all the evil people are women. And it's like, why? Or him only saving like men. I don't know. It's just so weird to me, because it just gets me thinking on like more of a political stance in the movie, and I don't care about that stuff. Let me just enjoy my movie. And I don't know. I just got lost in the movie at times, because every single bad guy, any person that said something rude, just like Captain Marvel, totally fine, totally normal movie, and then you have to throw like just random catcalling. It's like, I get that's a thing that people deal with. I understand that. But this is supposed to be just a superhero movie. This isn't supposed to be a political, like, showing something. So I don't know. It takes me out of the movie so much. I don't know. I was just weird. Even watching with my girlfriend, she was like, this is so weird. Like, why is this so much that they're just barreling this at us? I just didn't get it either. So
I don't hate that, like, just that as a principle, because it's just like, I just don't hate it, because it's like, yeah, you know, a lot of dudes are shitty, and historically, that's just kind of the way it was, and like, not a lot you could do about it, because it was like, oh, that's just like more shittier dudes in power who are just going to stop anything from happening. So I kind of get that this is like a cool thing to happen, where it's just like, hey, look at this shitty guy just kind of get his justice finally. And then watching that pervy dude, the pervy drunk in a suit, just get beaten like crazy in the street. Yeah. That was rad.
Great. That's probably one of my favorite parts of the whole movie. So continue.
But I think I chalk that, what you're talking about, up to something that they did this entire movie, which was just have absolutely no subtlety, no nuance, nothing even like suggestive. Everything was on the nose so hard that I'm surprised my nose isn't bleeding right now, just because of how much they're just shoving it in your face, where it's like, do you get it? Do you get it? Do you get it? I got it. We can move on with this not movie, please. Seriously, it's 2.5 hours. Can we get to the freaking point?
Yeah.
So I think that's just, I just chalked that up to whether it's a Zack Snyder input or just the fact that DC can't make a movie. I just chalk it up to that. Just the overabundance of everything being shoved into your face with no subtlety to it at all. Even the symbolism. Like, how many times are you going to show me Kristen Wiig by some stuffed cat or some cat pattern or some? I get it. I got it. I know. Move along. Batman, when he got shoved out of the well by the bats, was more subtle than that. With his little resurrection. Like, come on, man. How are you going to be that obvious throughout?
Yeah. And the last thing the last point I wanted to bring up too, they had the potential to make Cheetah, Barbara, Kristen Wiig's character, a really just badass character of her own, like, rage and all that kind of stuff, making her a villain. But to me, it's like they played off this. She was just manipulated by the main villain, Lord. I think it was his name. I'm trying to forget this movie already. And it's like they just made it more of like a manipulation thing that he kind of toyed with her a little bit. And I don't know, I just felt like that took away from her character, like that she was just being used to be like a superhuman to fight Diana. And I just didn't like that either. I was like, you could have made her this awesome badass character, which they started to, and then had to have her get tricked by a man. And then her character just fell off for me. I don't know. I just really hated that too. A lot of the symbolism, also, as you said, had to be so in your face all the time. This movie was rough. Like, at least... Hey. Go ahead.
No, because if I get started, I'm not going to stop, man. You need to get out what you need to get out.
Batman vs. Superman, I've said for a long time, is my least favorite movie all the time. But at least there is a moment or two in that movie where I'm like, oh, okay, that was cool. Or, dang, okay, that was really close. This movie was just all over the place constantly. It didn't have to be 2.5 hours long. And I want to build this up just to kind of have you take it away here. The ability just to bring Chris Pine's character back made no sense at all. And it was just to have Chris Pine back in the movie because they killed him for, like, to me, I thought no reason. And they could have kept their, like, combo of, like, maybe him, like, traveling in the future or something to let him stay. But then they had to do this goofy ass... He's living
Freaky
someone
Friday.
else's life. Yeah, Freaky Friday. But then
another movie they ripped off.
You brought up in our text, like, how is no one looking for this dude? How is he just, like, taken control by Chris Pine's character and everyone's okay with it? Just doesn't make sense.
Dude, like, he had some family somewhere who just, like, thought he was missing. Because he was there for, like, a week.
Yeah.
And he just, like... didn't go to work and didn't talk to friends and didn't see family and this wasn't in a pandemic style world. This was like a real world. People were out doing things. And you know that because the first day he's back in his body, we see him just out and about on the town, totally blissful, just like talking to people, chit-chatting in the square. So like, that's a whole ass dude.
Yeah.
What the hell kind of life are you expecting me to believe that he lives where he could just vanish? He went to Cairo. He slept with Wonder Woman, and then he was just kind of gone for like a week. No one said anything, and there are no repercussions, and there are no consequences. Nothing.
I'll be honest, for all like the on-the-nose stuff in this movie, it would have been hilarious to see like a missing sign of this dude like in certain places.
Something,
that would have been
somewhere.
awesome. That would have been so funny,
But that's what this movie does, is they just throw crap at you, and then you're like, wait, and they go, nah, we're already done. We're already moving on to the next thing. It's like even like the last fight scene with Wonder Woman and Cheetah. So like they're in the water, right? And then here comes the wire. She's like, you need to renounce your wish, which is the biggest ex machina I've ever freaking seen. I've never seen an unlaunch a freaking nuke. I renounce my wish. Oh, all right, cool then. I guess all of the buttons we just pressed don't mean anything. And then, for those of you who are going where I know you're going to go, they were, oh, well, the nukes were wished for. He didn't wish for all nukes. He wished for more. So that means there were some that were launched that were just there. And then same with the Russians, same with everybody. A lot of stuff happened, and then they just went, I renounce my wish. And then it, like freaking Kaiser Soze at the end of Usual Suspects, just, it's gone. Nothing. No consequences. No consequences for your actions. A lady in a shop wished all Irish people were taken back home, and then an Irish dude wished she died. She was dead, And then the cops are rounding people up. Are they just unbeaten now? Are they just undeported now? How is she gonna take back her wish? She's literally dead. And you heard more voiceovers of people being like, I wish this person was dead. How do those dead people unwish their wish? Do the people they wished against have to unwish their wish first for them to come back and not be dead, and then they have to unwish the wish? And then if that's the case, how do they know to unwish the wish? Because they were freaking dead. And then the way that they know to unwish the wish is because apparently this lasso, which we've seen catch a freaking RPG mid-flight and catch a bullet, she's got the speed to catch a bullet. She lassoed lightning 2 times, twice, 2 times, lightning, 2 times. And it can't handle a little bit of wind in the studio. And she, wind. And he's like, I'm granting wishes. I control the wind. All right, fine. I'm not even going to pretend that's a problem. But then, apparently, the wind can be snuck up on. Because then she, lassoed his ankle, and that became like an aux cord to the wishing broadcast. Because then she was whispering in an incredibly loud room, and we know it was loud because he was screaming, and we barely heard him, especially over the score. Thanks a lot for that one. And she's just, puppeting him by, whispering, but everyone can hear him, but he doesn't realize it. And then also how it's being broadcast, and how are people seeing this? Because she destroyed the camera just a minute ago. But people are catching it from an angle that's inside where there are no cameras. So everyone knows to unwish their wish, except for the dead people who are dead because of the wishes that got unwished, so they're undead, but they were dead when it was the wish, so then they can't unwish the wish, which means they're still wished, which means there's still other people dealing with the stuff that and it just doesn't work. It just doesn't. You can all the nukes you want. Fine. You all the nukes. Magically, all of the nukes that were launched were the ones that were wished upon. Fine. But then still don't explain the Irish racist lady who's now just dead and not dead, but now all the people who were just, beaten in the streets, they're just the Billy Club just gone. It's like Thanos just snapped. What are you talking about, movie? This doesn't make sense. This wasn't even the point that I was trying to make. We were talking about the fight scene. I say we, like I haven't just been getting going. So the fight scene, right? Says you need to renounce your wish. And then she's like, which I guess means I'm not going to do that. And so she's like, then I'm so sorry. And dunks her under the water. And then it falls in, because that's what happens, I guess, with electricity and water. So I've been told. Fine. And then Diana's totally unfazed, even though she's wearing a full metal armor. I guess Amazonians don't conduct electricity. Fine. I don't even have a problem with that. If that's a power, it's fine. But then Cheetah gets electrocuted and then very clearly dies. Dead. Just dead. Dead. She's dead. And then Diana just sinks down. Superman carries her and then just flies out of the water. She flew. And then moved forward and controlled her landing and then laid her down. And then Kristen Wiig's holding her stomach and moaning because she's not dead anymore. But I guess telephone wires give you a mad tummy ache. I don't know. And then she was just there are no consequences for anything that happened in this entire movie. And then, like I said, there's not an original moment in it either. I swear, when Kristen Wiig was discovering her powers, it was nothing but the montage from Spider-Man. I told you this. She was one sticky milk carton away from a freaking lawsuit, man. It was the exact same thing. And then I turned to Sahar because we were unfortunately watching it together, so we had 2 people suffering from this horrendous piece of shit. And I was like, I swear to God, she's going to take off her glasses and not need them anymore. And then she's sitting, chit-chatting with people in the exact pose of What About Bob? Another movie we're going to rip off. And then she's like, I guess I don't need these anymore. I bet you don't, because I've seen this before, because I've seen this in every single movie, because you don't have an original thought. Everything comes from everything else. Because you are how do you out Quentin Tarantino?
how did Zack Snyder out Tarantino? And it's not even a Zack Snyder film. He's just a producer. But like, he's like the wishing guy, because like the whole wishing thing, kind of like a Midas situation, monkey's paw, whatever you want to call it. And Zack Snyder just gets in there, and then everyone gets their wish. The movie gets made, but then everyone loses everything, and the movie sucks. I don't like that, because movies aren't that hard to make. Not suck. It's really hard to make a really great movie. It just is. You have to know a lot of things and do a lot of things really freaking well. But we talked about this with Krampus. It's really not that hard to just make a not awful movie. There are things you do in movies that are awful. Like have unanswerable questions, have no consequences for actions, have no continuity, open up plot holes in every scene that you never refuse to even acknowledge, let alone close. I can go on. We've talked about this for months now. All of the things I hate about movies, this movie did. And they're so easy to not do. And not doing those things makes you a decent movie. We talked about this with Krampus. The bar of like decent is like when you walk out of a theater, or in this case, you're sitting at home and you go, that's actually a pretty decent movie. That bar's not that high. And what Krampus did is they didn't do anything great. It wasn't a great movie by any stretch of the imagination, but they didn't do anything awful. They didn't do anything unforgivable, inexcusable, ignorant, when you just can tell there's no passion and no care in the team that made it, because no one even double-checked anything. Like, did you not go to 4th grade? Red pen, bastards. Get a red pen, mark up the script where it doesn't make sense, in which case this would just be a red freaking piece of paper. But just take out the stuff that doesn't make any sense. And take out the stuff that's lazy and that's stupid and doesn't work. Work with what you got left. And then when we left Krampus, we were like, that's actually a pretty decent movie. We had 4 people watch that together. And all of us were like, I was pleasantly surprised. We even talked about it maybe cracking our top 5 favorite movies. Top 5! Granted, they were Christmas. But like top 5 in the category for just being, that was pretty decent. Imagine what you could do with how low the bar has been set for DC if you were just kind of decent. Like Shazam was kind of decent. And it is like, with the original Wonder Woman, like the best DC movie that has ever been made. And it was kind of decent. That's it. Just be that. Just watch your movie before you show it, man. Sit in the edit room with everybody on the team. The editors, the producers, the director. Just sit down and watch the thing that you made and make it work. How did this get through so many people and still end up like that? How, Brandon? How? Answer me, Brandon. How? I don't get it. This movie sucks shit. And it so didn't have to. They had such great material. They had the turnover from the old movie. They had the same director. They had the same stars. It worked. You had Pedro Pascal in there, who actually did a pretty decent job. You had Kristen Wiig in there, who actually did a pretty decent job. They were good. The new things that you put in were good. All you had to do was not mess it up. And all they did was just mess it up. Every single chance that they had, every opportunity, every single scene that they had in the movie, it was just garbage, man. It was hot garbage. Why?
So I'm gonna go ahead and take a turn now.
I think I'm done. It's like Thursday now, man. That took a minute.
All your points. I really do agree with everything you said. A couple things I just want to kind of jump back to real quick that you mentioned. It was the funniest part of the movie when I was watching it was nothing the movie did itself, but something my girlfriend said. We were watching it, and she lassoed the RPG. She's like, "It's Fortnite!" I'm like, "Oh my god!"
Oh, by the way, those kids are totally dead. When it just like slipped out of her hand, and she just like, she landed on the kid, on top of the Come on.
Yeah. So that was really bad. Something I didn't also understand. The president had a wish. And if you're really going to tell me the president of any time period, his number one go-to is I want more nukes, you could have just been like, I want world peace. And how did nobody in all of their wishes not wish for world peace?
That's the other thing, too. How do you have an entire world of people and not a single wish contradicts another wish? And talk about no consequences. What happened at the end? He just got to hug his kid and everything was fine.
Yep.
You're like a war criminal. You almost wiped out Earth. Nothing? No? All right. Not even a timeout? Not a sit and think about what you did? Nothing? Just go home. All right, cool.
Yeah, and about a halfway through the movie, I actually gave it some kudos. Because I was like, you know what? I really appreciate that this movie isn't doing what every other superhero movie has done and made the consequences of the film being the end of the world. Thank you, movie. And then what did it do in the last 20 minutes? Made it the end of the world. All nukes being sent out. I thought they were doing a good thing, that this guy just kind of has unlimited power and he's just going to have whatever he wants. And then he gets stopped or he doesn't. And then, cool. It doesn't like rupture the whole world, because my other thing is, this movie was made in 1984 at this time. This point of the movie, about 20 to 26 years later, the Justice League is formed, all that stuff's going on. How was none of this ever brought up? Bruce Wayne's like 40, 50. So he definitely knew about this. So how did people not talk about this past? And that's what I hate about movies that are the end of the world situations, because especially if it's in the past, you have to be able to like reference it later. So it just didn't make sense. It was goofy. I don't know.
I don't even hate the nuke thing, because like, I don't know, I can think of a couple presidents who sucked. Like, I feel like Nixon would have hit the button for sure. Maybe the last guy we had, if he could even find a button or spell the word button.
But I mean, that's my, like, you could think of so many other things. I mean,
right.
Be like the United States are the most loved place, or like the strongest or most powerful. But like, I want more nukes. Like, that just doesn't make sense. I'm sorry, but that is just, to me, that's just forcing writing to have an end of the world script. You could have just had him be like, I want the United States to be the most powerful country. Like, any president could say that and I'd be like, you know what? I understand that president making that wish, because that's a believable wish. But just more nukes, it's like, that doesn't make sense. You could have been like, because if your thing is you want nukes to possibly take out the other countries or something, be like, I want all other countries gone. Like, that would, again, be a very reasonable wish. But you just want more defense to them fighting you? It just didn't make sense. Nothing at all. Okay.
And that's a really good point, too, because I want to bring up one more thing, and I promise it's not going to take 11 minutes.
Okay.
It seems like everyone in this movie wished for something that was like 6 steps short of what they actually wanted. Like, oh, I want to accomplish X.
Yeah.
And in order to do that, 6 steps before that, I'll need this thing. So I'm going to wish for this thing. It's like, why not just wish for X? Why not just wish for the thing that you want? They did so, like Diana. She wanted the one thing. Wonder Woman got her man back and all that stuff. Cool. But like, dude wished to be the wishing stone when it was very clear his intentions were nothing but power and money. Mm-hmm. And like you just said about the president, he clearly wants to be the most powerful nuclear force on the planet. He wants to like be better than all the other countries. And his way of doing that is having more nukes, because if I have this, then this. If then, why not just wish for then? You have then. Just wish for then. Mm-hmm. Just do that. And then this is just mean, and it doesn't really mean anything, but I love how this whole movie centered around like her relationship with Chris Pine in the first one, right? Like, that was the driving force for her not having her powers for half the movie, and for her having to give the ultimate sacrifice of what she wanted for the better good for a dude that she knew for like 2 weeks, like 40 years ago. You knew for like 2 weeks. Like 40 years ago. It was her first love, first dude she ever met, whatever. This is not something serious, but I remember being like, this is like really aggressive for someone that she knew for 2 weeks 40 years ago.
You said 40 years ago?
Well, yeah, because the first one took place in World War II, didn't it?
Au contraire.
Was it World War I?
70 years ago. 70 years ago, he knew him. for 2
Oh,
weeks.
it was World War
One.
One.
Yeah.
Okay, actually, then that makes me a little less mad because I remember watching the scene when he comes back and he is just tweaking out like Buddy in New York,
Yeah.
and you're just like, how do you not know what a garbage can is? They had garbage cans in the 40s, which now I realize was not the 40s. Totally fine with him tweaking out and loving the moon landing thing.
Yeah.
Totally cool with like fighter jets.
Yeah.
But when he's just like at the thought of something that like totally existed, like a garbage can. Come on, guy. What are you doing? And then you're baffled by a garbage can, but you can fly a fighter jet that she can just make invisible because one time she did one thing that's really hard and she's never been able to do it again. But I'm sure a moving fighter jet, just a breeze. It's just no problem at all. And it wasn't because there are no consequences in this world or this movie.
I had one other problem with all that, because originally I was like, okay, this dude was like a World War II pilot, and of course now I found out he wasn't. He was World War I at the time when I first was thinking about this. How does the man not know radar? Fine, I get it now. World War I, it came out in the 1930s, so that makes sense. But I might be wrong. I don't know exactly how radar works. But for my knowledge, it doesn't matter if it is a visible thing. It just bounces off of like objects, and that's how radar, I believe, works. How is an invisible plane going to stop it from being on radar when clearly that invisible plane isn't like it's just transparent. It doesn't go through stuff because it moved clouds. How does the radio waves not bounce off for the radar, or sorry, whatever type proper waves those are? That also didn't make sense. I'm totally cool with them being like, yeah, we can't see him anymore. Like, I know it says it's on the radar, dude, but like, they're not here. I'm like, fine, like I get that, but like, I'm almost positive radar would still bounce off something invisible.
Also, that is, I am not a pilot, so I just could be wrong here, but that is the first 1980s fighter jet I've ever seen where someone can ride shotgun. I don't know if that's a real thing or not, but anytime I've ever seen any plane, there was one seat, or there were two, and they were front and back. And then anything more than that, and you're going, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for flying Delta Airlines. We will arrive in San Francisco. And you're just like, okay, so this is a plane. But that was a jet. It was a fighter, like, jet. But you can call shotgun. I don't think so, movie. And again, no consequences. We didn't even see the jet again. It just got to be, hey, look, visible jet. Movie just sucks, man.
Yeah.
It's just really, really bad.
It was a terrible movie. There was honestly nothing I enjoyed about the movie when it was over and I really recapped on it. I don't know. That one was really rough. I'm shocked it has 60% right now on Rotten Tomatoes. It's been dropping, though. When I checked on Friday, it was at 81%. It's now down to 62, 61-ish. So it is just plummeting right now. I don't know. CGI was a mess. The story, the plots were just all over the place. I will say Kristen Wiig and, can't think of his name, Mandalorian.
Pedro Pascal.
Thank you, Pedro Pascal. Great. He was fantastic in the movie. Gal Gadot, really good as well. They did great jobs. The acting wasn't poor. Chris Pine did good, too.
Yeah.
It was really the writing. This is one of the first times I've ever watched just a bad movie, and it was just purely writing. The actors were perfect. Yeah.
And that sucks because you know they tried.
Yeah.
And like when I say they just didn't care, I don't mean everybody. Mm-hmm. I'm sure there were some people who showed up to work trying really hard. There was someone sitting in the editing booth getting this steaming turd and like, all right, I'll try to polish it, man. There was someone behind the camera who's really trying their hardest, and those actors, they really wanted to make a good movie. But there's just no soul to it. Speaking of soul, we should have just watched that. That was a much better movie.
We both did,
great.
Actually.
It was awesome.
Honestly, we probably could do a little review for that one, like a mini episode next week or something for Soul, because I did see it too, and I got a lot to say about it. So, but yeah, that's going to be it for another review sad, sad review of Wonder Woman 1984. I don't even really care at this point.
Who cares, man?
If you saw it, if you liked it, please let us know, because I want to talk to you. Are you okay? or just let me know if I'm crazy or just Alex is crazy, but we'd love to hear from you as well. Let us know what you think of Wonder Woman in the comments, Twitter, Facebook, anything like that. But Alex, to make it easy on them, if they're listening right now on Spotify, how can they find us? How can they message us?
Wow, Brandon, they can just go to thenerdchambers.com. That's where you can find all of the connections to all of the places that all of the people are. We are there. Everyone else is there. Just go to thenerdchambers.com. That's where you can find us. And then obviously, if you're watching us, you're on YouTube. If you're listening, you're on your podcasting platform of choice. And if you happen to be wearing any of our merch, you probably went to Spreadshirt to get our merch.
Awesome.
Did I miss one?
Did I miss
anything?
I mean, we got Twitter, Instagram,
Yes.
TikTok, all that little stuff, but you hit the
Find it
important
on the Nerd
ones.
Chambers. You'll find those on the nerdchambers.com. It's a website. Yeah. Do you have anything to say about this other than the fact that we should just wipe our asses from this pile of shit?
I hope the third one gets canceled.
Well, yeah. Anyway, Alex, Brandon, see you guys.